My name is Ms. Wang, and I am the BSI Language Arts teacher for the year. So welcome to Back to School Night. And just a little bit about myself. I graduated from Rutgers, New Brunswick with a BA in English. I graduated from the Rutgers Graduate School of Education with a Master's in Education, and I was previously teaching at Mount Olive High School. So these are the goals for my classroom, for my students. I want to prepare my students with the necessary skills that they need to pass their graduation requirements. So that very first graduation requirement is the ASVAB that most of my students are taking this Wednesday, September 16th. I went through the letter that Mr. Lynch sent all the teachers. I went through that entire letter with all of my seniors, which details all the procedures, the things they need, the time that they need to get to the school in order to take the ASVAB, and everyone should have gotten an email sent home as well. If my students pass my ASVAB, they will drop out of my BSI Language Arts course and be placed in a different course for the rest of the year, which means that they are clear and they've passed their graduation requirements and they don't need to worry. However, if my students did not pass the ASVABs, they will take the next round of standardized testing, which will be their ACTs. That will happen October 10th, the 17th, the 24th, 25th, and December 12th. When time gets closer, the other BSI teacher, the BSI math teacher, and I, we will go over with the students the actual application and the steps to apply for the ACTs when that time comes. If they pass the ACTs, they will also leave my class, drop out of my class, because they have cleared the graduation requirements for the year. If I have any students remaining, they will be taking the portfolio as their final and only graduation requirement left. So this means that if they didn't pass the ASVAB, they didn't pass the ACT, they will be in my class for the remainder of the school year, and I am preparing them to answer 2 essays on their portfolio, and that'll be their graduation requirement. So in general, I want to promote career readiness skills, including critical thinking. Even though a lot of what we're doing in my class is test prep, at the same time, a lot of those vocabulary words and a lot of those paragraph comprehension questions are all helping my students grow those critical thinking skills that I know that they will take with them after high school and beyond, whether that's college or something else. And most importantly, this is probably the most important principle of my teaching pedagogy, I want to provide a safe and socially and emotionally supportive environment for my students. I understand that the last half of the year has not been easy for many people, and I want my students to know that whenever they step foot into my classroom, that it is a safe place, free of negative judgment, and I want to encourage my students to be safe and to be active participants in my classroom because they will not be punished for making a mistake. There's no such thing as being wrong in my class. We are simply creating more opportunities to learn. Student expectations in my classroom. Because I have seniors, all of my seniors are expected to develop autonomy and learn to ask for help and additional support when needed. I implore my students to be vocal about asking for help and needing extended deadlines to accommodate their busy lives. So typically, I don't give homework just to give homework. When we start prepping for the ACTs, they might have some weekly homework, classwork assignments, but when we start getting closer to the ACT test dates, then they will have some preparation that they need to do at home by themselves. I understand that my students are incredibly busy throughout the day. Some of them might have extracurriculars or jobs after school. I do not have an issue giving a student extra time if they are going to use that time efficiently. I will never deny a student extra time if they need it. There is something in teaching called the warm demander approach, which was a term coined by an educator who says that teachers should expect a great deal of their students, convince them of their own brilliance, and help them to reach their potential in a disciplined and structured environment. And that is exactly the principle that I hold in my own class. I have a very important classroom policy. My classroom policy and procedures are on Google Classroom, but this is the one thing that is very new for all of my students. This is something called the 1 day late policy, and I hold everyone to this policy. So if I have an assignment on Google Classroom, which needs to be digitally submitted through Google Classroom, it will typically have a deadline, which is a day and a time that it is due. So for example, I'll say that this homework assignment is due Friday at 7 a.m. For my students who don't hand in their work, they have exactly 24 hours to submit their work for full credit. That means they have until Saturday, 7 a.m. exactly to hand in their work for full credit. Any students who miss the 24-hour window will not receive credit. Google Classroom digitally records the times that people submit their assignments. So if I have a student that submitted that homework assignment over 24 hours later, if they submit it at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night, unfortunately, they will not receive credit for it just because they had so much extra time that my other students didn't. Once again, any students who need additional help or time need to send an email to me to ask for extra time before the day that it is due. I'm very flexible with those things. Finally, if you have any questions, my email is wanga@dunellenschools.org. I also like to frequently reach out to parents, especially when a student's progress in my class needs to be made aware of. So please check your emails occasionally as well. And I hope you have an excellent back to school night.